The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the
Try this again.
And I listen more attentively. There must have been something.
It's not letting me do watch parties, though. I'm telling you, Facebook is fucking with me.
So easy to see.
Every day I sign on to Facebook, every day, and it says, somebody from Portland, Oregon signed on as you. Was this you? I say no, and I have to change my password every day.
Do you use a VPN?
I don't know what that is, so I'm going to have to say no.
Okay. He does?
Just going to do my best to get this up, that's all. Alrighty. Let's get this show on the road for the second time. Take two. For some reason, Facebook defaulted to only me when we were podcasting the first 5 minutes of the show, so let's try it again. Oh, I don't mind just a little. It's driving me out of my mind. All right, no Papa Buzz. I want to thank our sponsors today, McLennan Real Estate, AFC Urgent Care, Marsaint and Son Construction. EIS Investigations. You can get your gun training there. If you want to go get your gun permit, go get your certification at EIS. They're right by the Loop over in Methuen. Go in and see the two Joes. Tell them that I said hello. Borelli's Deli. I had Borelli's Deli last night at TMF Family Dinner for the Homeless. I don't have his name, but somebody donated dinner, and not only donated it, but went to Borelli's and bought the dinner and then brought it to us. So last night, there was some leftover meatballs. I had some of the meatballs. I had no idea that Borelli's Deli made great meatballs, but every time I try something new there, it's like more fantastic than the last thing I tried.
Basically, have you had anything bad from Borelli's ever?
I don't think I have.
Exactly.
I don't think I have. But some of it's like, you know, like regular, like their liverwurst. It's okay. It's, you know, like it's liverwurst, right?
It's as good as liverwurst can be.
But then you try like their tortellini, and it's amazing. Like it's way better than any tortellini you're going to get anywhere else. And we love Don Smeriglio. He's a great guy. Does a lot for the community. I also want to thank Clear Path New England, who is here today. We're going to talk a little bit about homeless veterans and veteran services. JG's Ice Cream. You know, even though it's cold and summer's over, doesn't mean you can't have ice cream. Ice cream is still good, like 24/7, 12 months a year, no matter what. In fact, the best time to go is now because there isn't a big line. So you want to go get your mocha chocolate chip or something, you go over to JG's.
And it won't melt?
No, and it won't melt because it's like 2 degrees outside. And Andover Optical, we certainly appreciate Andover Optical as our new sponsor. If you're going to get glasses or you need an eye exam, go to Andover Optical. Tell them that you appreciate that they sponsor this program and the Valley Patriot, because I guarantee you they're getting letters from people who hate us saying, he's a racist, he's a worm, he's a jerk, he says mean things. Why are you? We're going to boycott you if you keep advertising with him. And so we know that they're hearing it from the other side. So please go there and tell them you appreciate them sponsoring the program. Who else do we have? A free shout out to North Andover Car Wash, Don Signtech, and 4-Star Lighting and Electric. We've got to get Joe back here. I'm going to have to remember to send him an email after the show and try and get him back on the program. He's fun to have too. What do we have? We've got a couple of things going on here in Methuen. I say here in Methuen. We're actually in Salem, New Hampshire. It's not even really worth doing a second time, is it? It was so good the first time. How do you do it twice? So I noticed that the two meetings ago, there was a big kerfuffle at the Methuen City Council meeting. And the issue was that the evil Tom Duggan, the evil Darth Vader who kicks puppies on Sundays, Tom Duggan, published a story about the Methuen city clerk getting COVID-19 or testing positive for it the day before the election. And by the way, I stand by my position that that is a legitimate story. I've had many people call me and say that's not someone getting COVID is not news. And to that I say you're right. Someone getting COVID is not news. However, when the guy running an election the day before an election tests positive, and I have city councilors raising questions about whether or not it's going to hamper the ability of the town to run the election the next day, that is a legitimate story. I mean, like it or not, it's a legitimate story, and that's why I published it. When I published it, however, it caused a big kerfuffle, a big dust up at the Methuen City Council meeting. Jim McCarty and Steve Saber were salivating in their seats when they heard Methuen Mayor Perry say that he thought that it was Nick DiZoglio that was my source on the story. And they all started yelling, "You violated HIPAA! You violated HIPAA!" And I'm thinking, wait a minute, violating HIPAA, I've heard that somewhere before. I've seen... By the way, HIPAA is the federal law that says if you are a employer or you're a nurse or a doctor that has access to someone's medical records, it's a federal law if you disclose anything in their medical record or anything about their medical condition, if you're their employer, their doctor, their lawyer, or somebody who works in the medical professional field. So first it was Tom Duggan violated HIPAA, and it was on and on about how I violated HIPAA. But there are 3 Supreme Court rulings saying that the press is exempt from HIPAA. We're not... If someone steals Ben's medical records tomorrow and gives it to the Boston Globe, they can publish it. Now, he might be able to sue them for something else, right? But it's not a HIPAA violation. The person who gave it to the Boston Globe violated HIPAA. Or the person who gave it to that person, the person who had access to the records that initially stole it or copied it, they're in violation. So they went from Tom Duggan violated HIPAA to no, it was Nick DiZoglio that violated HIPAA. He must be the source. And Methuen's soon-to-be former city council chairman, Jim McCarty, was outraged. Outraged! He was climbing out of his seat. Councilor DiZoglio, you're putting us at risk. You're putting us at risk for a lawsuit. You violated HIPAA. And I keep hearing this word HIPAA. And I'm like, wait, but there's something. I remember something happening with HIPAA. So I went back to the June 1st meeting. I will have this clip for you. Not next week. We're not here next week. The week after, I will have the clip for you of Jim McCarty at the June 1st Methuen City Council meeting talking about the medical condition of 2 Methuen police officers who were out injured in the line of duty and said what their medical condition was. They always accuse other people of what they themselves are doing. Whenever someone's making an accusation like that at a public meeting, you can almost bet, like real money, like hard money, like $1,000, that person themselves has violated HIPAA when they do something like that. So I went back and sure as hell, he talked about the medical condition of an injured police officer named Jim Jajuga Jr., and I can't remember who the other one was, but there was another officer who was out ILD, and he talked about his medical condition, like specific medical condition. So please just spare us all the fake outrage, spare us the politicking from the table. He's yelling and screaming at Nick DiZoglio with no evidence whatsoever, other than somebody at the table said, well, we heard it from Tom Duggan, which is bizarre. Because Jim McCarty runs around telling everybody Tom Duggan's got no credibility. Everything he says is a lie. Until someone at the table says Tom Duggan said something they want to hear, and then he just runs with it as if it's gospel. It's amazing how stupid how did all of the stupid people get elected? Like every stupid person in every community is sitting on some kind of a board. It really is ridiculous. Let's see. I had one other Methuen thing, but I'm going to save it because I can't remember what we've talked about on this show or the 10 minutes of the show that we weren't even on. Big to-dos today with Rudy Giuliani. So Rudy Giuliani had a press conference today real quick, then I'll get to my guests, talking about the specific fraud that they found in this election. I don't know how anybody can say with a straight face, as CNN did the second that press conference was over, that there is no such thing as voter fraud. That's like there's no such thing as water. What do you mean there's no such thing as voter fraud? Of course there's voter fraud. And Giuliani and the Trump team believe that they have enough proof of enough fraud. And here's the phrase they keep using, I wish they would stop. They keep saying we have enough votes to, quote, overturn the election. And that's just bad phrase. That's bad marketing right there. Because you're not overturning the election. You're overturning the unofficial vote count. That's what you're doing. And Giuliani's smart enough. He should know this, that like in his own messaging, he's hurting himself. I urge everyone to watch that because I know CNN did not show it live. And I know MSNBC did not show it live. They took selected clips and then mocked him, took it out of context, and then mocked him as if there's no such thing as voter fraud. As we discussed in the last show, we know there's voter fraud. What else? Oh, and I have one more thing. And you know, let's just talk about in Wyndham, New Hampshire, right here, voter fraud, right here in Wyndham, New Hampshire. We're in Salem, but like 5 feet down the road. So there's a story that I want to encourage everybody to read. It's on Patch, believe it or not. So it's in Wyndham Patch. Hundreds of votes shift at Wyndham Recount. So there's a Democrat in Wyndham who apparently is not part of the program, who asked for a recount because they thought that maybe there was a couple of mistakes. Like a few things just didn't seem right to her. She wasn't even alleging voter fraud. She wasn't even alleging that she lost because of voter fraud or she lost because of bad counting. She just wanted an accurate count. This is what happens when you have honest Democrats. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So they did a hand recount in Wyndham, and what they found was that 4 Republican and 3 Democrat state rep candidates were shorted votes, while another Democrat got all of the votes that the other candidates were shorted. But there's no such thing as voter fraud. This is, by the way, this is not some fly-by-night organization. This is Wyndham Patch. This is owned, I think they're still owned by, who's Patch owned by now? The Huffington Post, right? Still, I think. So not exactly like a right-wing press organization. And if you read through this story, it talks about how hundreds of votes here, according to the hand recount of paper ballots, Sorty, who was one of the candidates, was shorted 297 votes. McMahon was shorted 298 votes. Griffin was shorted 299 votes. And Lynn was shorted 303 votes. On the other hand, the Democrat got all those votes. Like that one Democrat. So it came from other Democrats who couldn't win, and it went to the Democrat that was closest to the top to push them in. This is not me making this up. This isn't not my reporting. People always like to question my reporting. That's fine. I encourage people to question my reporting and do your own research. This is from the Wyndham Patch, and I've posted it on my page. So we now know through Rudy Giuliani's press conference today that many of the votes and the voting machines sent the data to Germany and other countries to be counted and sent back via the internet. Yeah, what could go wrong? What could go wrong having other countries count our votes? So please don't tell us there's no such thing as voter fraud, please. And even if there isn't enough voter fraud to overturn the unofficial vote count so that Trump can win, we still need to know this stuff so we can stop it in the next election. Like, there's going to be another election in 2 years, and we need to know. We also had a breaking story this week about Veterans Northeast Outreach in Haverhill. Sorry, I don't mean to make you guys feel uncomfortable here, but it's news, so we got to talk about it. I got a call from somebody in North Andover. Why don't you pull that up for me, the invoice? We got a call from somebody in North Andover that said, Tom, you're not going to believe this. Your buddies over at, they say buddies sarcastically, your buddies over at Veterans Northeast Outreach just sent us a bill for $18,600 for services that we're giving to North Andover veterans here at Veterans Northeast Outreach in Haverhill. And so I called a couple of other communities, and wouldn't you know it, they charged, I think, Drake and Lowell and a few other communities. They sent them bills for thousands and thousands of dollars. Then I got a copy of a letter from a military organization that gives money to Veterans Northeast Outreach to pay for the things they're billing communities for, like groceries, food, medical services. So what Veterans Northeast Outreach has done is they get grants and private donations to pay for these things. They take the money and pay for these things. They hand out the services, and now they're sending bills to local community so they can get paid again, which I always thought was double dipping. Maybe it's me. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not an officer of the court or the government. But it just seems to me that that's double dipping. So I dug a little deeper into this. I talked to some people in North Andover at the town. Most of them did not want to go on the record, but the Veterans Service Officer from North Andover did send us a letter saying that A, they're not paying it, B, they don't owe it, and C, there's never been a prior arrangement with Veterans Northeast Outreach to reimburse them for what they're claiming is some kind of COVID expense. Now, I'm not sure how giving out groceries is a COVID expense. Maybe it is, right? But it just seems to me to raise an awful lot more questions than it does answers. So I talked to Methuen. They got one. I talked to Methuen Mayor Neil Perry. He met this morning, I believe, with Tom Hargraves, their VSO. I'm waiting to hear from him as to whether or not they plan on paying it or what they're going to do about it. But it just seems really odd that once again now we have a veterans organization that's supposed to take care of veterans, and we're going to do a negative story about it. And it really does break my heart because I don't want that to cast aspersions on any veteran organization that's actually providing services to veterans. And despite the fact that I think they're screwing up royally with their new head, Ed Mitchell, who we've talked about in the past, they do provide services for veterans. And it really sucks for me because we put veterans on the front page of our paper every month to honor them. We have got 2 of them here today. We're going to talk to the rest of the show. I've always seen my goal is to try, as a newspaper publisher, one of my goals is to try and honor the veterans who went out and served our country that gave me the right and protected my right of a free press. If I'm going to have a newspaper, we should be thanking the people who allowed this to happen. And so every month we put a hero veteran on the front page and we honor them. But it just really hurts when you hear about this kind of stuff going on at Veterans Northeast Outreach, especially now that we hear that they want to go for profit, which is absolutely disgusting to me, that someone wants to make money on homeless veterans. There's nothing right about that, to quote one of my friends. Sitting with us today, and I don't know if you guys want to comment on this or not, you can, or if you'd like to not, then that's fine. Randy Carter, who works for CARES. You're working for CARES through the city of Methuen?
The volunteer.
Oh, you're a volunteer.
Yeah.
That's even better. The guy's working for free, right? And Jason Gilbert, who's with ClearPath New England it's ClearPath for Veterans New England.
That's correct.
I always say it wrong.
Yep. I'm actually the program director. Randy is a volunteer for us working in the Merrimack Valley and Methuen area, doing outreach and providing food boxes and services to the community. I would like to comment actually on what you just were talking about. These are services that are provided to our veterans. These are services that do not cost our veterans a dime, and they shouldn't cost our veterans a dime. I understand during COVID, there are extra costs for PPE, things of that nature. That should be at the expense of the agency.
They do qualify for like COVID CARES funding if they're doing stuff that has to do with COVID, right?
Of course. ClearPath for Veterans, applied for that funding and received funding to help with, payroll protection, PPE, utilizing donors to help in that process as well. And that's at no cost to the veteran. And it should never have, from what I'm hearing, the VSOs are receiving invoices. Since when do we solicit our VSOs in any community to support a nonprofit?
Right. Well, not only that, but I talked to Jamie Melendez this morning. I also talked to Haverhill Mayor Jim Ferrantini, both of whom told me that they got an apology from VNOC saying that it was a mistake. And then I looked at the invoice. It doesn't say that. What I was told by Jim Ferrantini and Jamie was that, well, it was a mistake and it's not really an invoice. It's a suggested donation. So I went back to that invoice that we just showed on the screen. It doesn't say suggested donation. It says invoice. Invoice is something you're supposed to pay because you got some kind of a service from somebody. And so I think they're just now they've been caught. They're just lying.
Yeah, I think, personally, I don't want to speak on behalf of any agency, but personally, I think, the idea is great. I think, maybe they should have had more conversation and the execution was bad. That's really all I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, look, if that's what they really wanted to do, if they were looking maybe to partner with the VSOs, You don't do it retroactively. You don't say, here's a bill, and then, we'll talk about it afterwards. You call them beforehand and say, listen, we could use some donations. Do you guys have any CARES funding that we can work with you guys on? And maybe we can help you with something else. And you make a prearranged, and the letter that I got from the VSO in North Andover basically said that because they have no prearrangement with VNOC on this, they're not paying it. And I think if they had a prearrangement, if they did go to the towns and say, here's what we can do for you if you can do this for us, some of these towns might actually be willing to make either that donation or a smaller donation. It just seems like the way that it was done is just typical Ed Mitchell to me. I mean, I'm watching what's going on up there, and I'm getting calls, by the way. I don't know if you guys are. I'm getting calls by veterans who say they're being turned away up there. And I know, and it breaks my heart. I actually was teared up talking to one of the veterans because all I could think of was John Ratka saying, I don't care if they're violent. I don't care if they've got mental issues. If you're a veteran, you're welcome. We'll figure out a way to help you. We'll figure it out. We're not turning anyone away. We'll figure it out. And he always seemed to do that. And now I'm hearing the opposite from the organization that John built, and it breaks my heart. Randy, you used to work there, right? Do you want to?
Jason and I both worked. Jason was
that's
my
right.
boss.
You both worked there, right?
Jason was my boss.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to touch that. All right. Okay. Honestly.
Fair enough.
We need to move forward.
We really. I left in July of 2019, and I've been successful to land back on my feet with another nonprofit that has a similar vision to what I was accustomed to. And I want to really move forward with that agency.
All right.
I left in September of the same year, and I was lucky enough to be able to piggyback on with Jason at ClearPath. ClearPath has that same mentality, veteran first, and we'll figure it out later.
Right. And that was John's mission, and I knew John well. Came to my bashes. We gave him an award. I mean, really, I can't ever remember meeting someone like John Ratka. Like in my lifetime, I can't ever remember. I remember being there and having a veteran come in who had been somewhat violent the last time he was there, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's back!" And they went over and they talked to him, and they found a way to help him off-site. Like they took him out of the building because they didn't want him fighting with the person he had been fighting with before, who was there, and they took him off-site, and they found a way to help get this guy the services that he needed without having the issues. And I see what's happening, and I want VNOC to succeed, despite the fact that the guy who's there is there. I want VNOC to succeed because I want John's legacy to succeed. I want what John spent his whole life building to not have been for nothing. And so I'm just hoping that they can just change things around up there. I'm hoping they can get a better director and stop with all this for-profit nonsense. Because our veterans, goddammit, deserve these services, and they shouldn't have to be jumping through hoops and playing politics to get it.
I mean, it's not the agency that helps the veteran. It's the people that are part of the agency, and that's what I get from ClearPath. It's the people that I mean, you and I have worked hand in hand numerous times on veterans with veterans. Jason has been a mentor just so as John, and it was like anything you learn as you go sometimes. And that's what John, I remember going in John's office and asking him, I said, we can't do this. And he got mad at me and he pushed the paperwork off and just said, no, we're going to do it.
Right.
And that's what I try to bring. That's what I'm trying to bring to Methuen Cares. And Jason is definitely bringing that to ClearPath, and the same vision is there, and it's really showing in the last year since he's been there how much ClearPath has actually grown.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. First, let's talk about Methuen Cares. What is it that you do? What does Methuen Cares do?
So when I started volunteer with ClearPath is out of Fort Devens, and they're out of Mass. It's a Mass-based nonprofit. So Jason asked me if I could help him in the North Shore. So I went to the city of Methuen. I talked to the chief of staff, asking her if we could piggyback on their Methuen Cares. We'd have the veteran section of it, which I think you visited in the back of the store. Mm-hmm. And from there, it just morphed. We were able to help our veterans plus more veterans in the area. And now Methuen Cares is expanding. We actually support Methuen Cares with food boxes at their location. And also we're set up at the Loop to help veterans throughout Merrimack Valley. So I think today we handed out 200 boxes.
Yeah, it was 200. I think it was 280.
Wow. 280 in boxes. 1 day?
In 1 day.
In 3 hours.
3 hours.
Wow. So you've got like a line then when you get
the
there.
line. Yeah. By the time the truck showed up was in between Margaritas and this Verizon store. The line wrapped around that parking lot and then went down the road.
Wow. And it's like that every day?
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Oh, so it's not every day. You
No,
guys do
it's
once
just
a week.
Thursdays. Yeah.
So now what are you doing in between? You're on the phone trying to get these donations? You're trying to get
We're not trying to get donations. We don't get
the food donations? Oh, so,
No,
where does the food come from?
So this is the same source that other agencies use, Mass Military Support Foundation. It's a truckload. We get 1,000 boxes a week. So we split that with Devon's. Devon's handles half of that shipment for North Central, and we take boxes up to Methuen.
All right, and I think I kind of spaced. So where does it come from? Like, who's making the donation of the food?
Mass Military Support Foundation has worked with the USDA.
Okay.
It's Farmers to Families program, and it's a free program. So we are actually one of the selected organizations for distribution.
And you had 280 people today.
Today, not including the 200 we dropped off at Methuen Care.
And they're all veterans.
Veterans in the community.
Yeah.
Wow. Veterans in the community.
No, veterans and the
community. So you don't have to be a veteran.
Not for this program.
This program. Right. So it's not 280 veterans, because I actually started getting nervous. If you have that many veterans once a week, then we should be doing something more.
It's definitely a mixture. I'm going to say that there is a good portion that are veterans. As a matter of fact, a veteran came and gave Jason and I both challenge coins for giving him a box of food every week. It helps him. He's a disabled veteran and he's limited on his funds. Yeah. So if we can give him $20, $30 worth of food that's in those boxes, it's $30 more in his paycheck,
right?
Or more that he gets.
Right. So now, do they have to be from Methuen, or if you've got a Lawrence vet that's hungry and
so we provide boxes in the Methuen area for the Merrimack Valley. So if you're from Lawrence, if you're from Merrimack Valley in general,
okay,
you're welcome.
Yeah. Right. We actually had somebody from Lawrence today come and pick up about 6 boxes to take the veterans who can't physically leave their homes to go to a food pantry.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So now, do you guys do some deliveries too, or do you just depend on volunteers like that guy?
No, I make deliveries each week. Okay. I'm running everywhere. Bedford, Lowell, some of the communities that were.
And do people need to call in advance and say, "Hey, I'm going to come"? Or can they just show up on a Thursday? And
so, since this is a short-term program, we did have to set up, drop-off points. So we have relationships with the VSO in Lowell. We have relationships with Bedford VA. Relationships with who else we have relationships with?
Chelmsford Housing Authority.
Chelmsford, Shirley Meadows. So we drop off to them on a weekly basis.
Methuen Cares,
right, as well.
So Methuen Cares actually is doing an amazing, and it's nobody is benefiting from this other than the person in need.
Correct.
So for anyone to say that this is an agency that's a political driven or whatever, it's not. There are so many people out there that are going hungry because of COVID that this is needed. And he owns a home. Well, he owns a home because he worked hard to get that home, and now COVID is strangling him.
Right.
Restricting his funds and everything else for the family as a whole.
So anybody who's hungry can come on Thursdays to the care center in Methuen at the Loop. And you said it's between Margaritas and Verizon stores?
Yeah, we just pull up in the parking lot and just start handing out.
11 to 1. There is a registration link.
Right.
There is a registration link for those that...
so you can't just show up. You've got to go and register.
You really should register. That way we can keep a good track of...
We're not going to turn you away.
Out to those communities.
But it's also for us to be able to report that it is a working program. This program does work.
So where do they go to register?
That should be on the Methuen website, correct?
It should be on Methuen Cares website.
Okay.
And also on ClearPath website too.
Correct.
All right, I'll try and pull it up during the
commercial break.
We don't do. We used to do commercial breaks on this program. Remember that way back when we thought we were a radio show.
But that's
amazing.
Tommy, that's just a piece of what we're doing within the communities. I mean, food security is obviously a big issue during COVID. We're providing, counseling services. I had over the past, I'd say 2 weeks, I've had 6 veteran cases of at-risk or homeless that we've been able to, find solutions for through creativity, really, because right now ClearPath doesn't have the means to, house someone in transitional yet. in transitional housing or permanent housing. So we look for outside referrals to provide that assistance, through the SSVF program, through one of the cases I actually worked with the VFW. And the VFW utilized relief funds to put a veteran in a hotel for the weekend. And on Monday, I was able to get that veteran lined up with VA services. So he was off the street. He was warm. He was taken care of over the weekend. We made sure he had food. And on Monday, he was in for treatment.
So now, say you got someone. I have an apartment in North Andover, right? I got an empty bedroom. Been trying to rent it out, but I don't want to just rent it out to anybody, right? Because a lot of people know who I am. They're going to be in my house. It's got to be somebody I'm going to be able to trust. What if I called you tomorrow and say, hey, look, I got an empty room. The rent is like $900 a month with everything included. If you've got a veteran that's looking for a place, I'll give them the first couple of months for free till they get themselves on. Is that something that you guys would do? Do you partner with people who have a place, or do you have to go through certain guidelines?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of the above.
Every situation is different.
Exactly. Go ahead, Randy.
Oh, let's just talk about the veteran that you and I helped that was on the street for all those years and stuff. So,
I almost took him in. Boy, I'm glad I didn't. But I almost took him in because I had an empty room, and I'm like, the guy's on the street.
But it's a case-by-case basis.
Right.
His case is different than another veteran or the family coming in because that's obviously they can't take the one bedroom.
Right.
But they need wraparound services. So going to live with you is great, but they would also need to piggyback.
And that's where ClearPath would come in and provide those wraparound services and assign a peer, which would work directly with that veteran to help him with his claims, to help him with any additional services he may need.
And I only ask not because it's me, but I can imagine that there's a lot of people in my audience who might have an empty bedroom and say, hey, you know what? Rather than just rent it to some stranger, if there's a veteran out there that needs it, maybe we can help them with rent. Maybe we can cut the rent down for a moment. But maybe we can help accommodate. And I'm wondering if the average person, the regular general public, can call you and say, "Hey, we've got a room." If that's something that you guys can use, or is that not going to be something that you guys can help with?
It may be difficult if they're utilizing, if they're low income and they need a subsidy or something like that, they may not fund something like that.
Okay.
But if they have income to support that, no problem.
Yeah, because someone like me, I'd be willing to say like first 3 months for free till you get yourself on your feet and find another place, or if you want to stay after that, we can work something out.
Correct.
But I every day I walk by that empty bedroom in my apartment, and it's not really empty because I've got stuff in it, but like nobody's living in it, and I think I could like augment my rent a little bit and give it. I've taken in 3 different homeless people. None of them were veterans, but I've taken in 3 different homeless people. Kind of regretted it because every homeless person has their own issues, and you end up dealing with it at home, right? But it wasn't a tragedy. It wasn't a tragic mistake that I made, and I'd be willing to do it if it was for a veteran, even older veteran, or even a younger veteran. And I'm just thinking that there's got to be people out there that are willing to help, and how we can get them in on board.
Well, like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a group effort to help a veteran or help anybody who's homeless. Like, for instance, I couldn't ask for anybody better than Sue Foster.
She's great
at Elder Services, Elder Services, the Senior Center in Methuen. Mm-hmm. She is amazing. What she does is unbelievable. She is the type of person that you need to have out there because she doesn't say no. If I can't do it, I'm going to get somebody that can do it for you.
Right.
And that's what you need. We need more people like that out there. She called me today to wish me luck on your show today. Okay. And she goes, "Tell Tommy I love him." I said, "Okay."
Oh, she's the best. I love her.
She is the best.
Her and Karine are awesome.
Karina Papalaro? No, Karine at the Senior Center. Sorry, Karine.
That's okay. Karina Papalaro is awesome too.
She is. She is very much.
But Methuen Senior Center, they're doing some amazing stuff, especially with COVID. So I'm glad that you guys kind of work with them a little bit. At ClearPath, now I thought that we were going to have the girl with the puppy today, and I was all excited to have the puppy. Well, kind of a puppy. But.
So the 6 podcasts I had set up, by program. Unfortunately, today we had our veteran peer, which he would have came on and spoke about his peer program. He went on vacation, so he.
How dare he?
Yeah,
I didn't approve that.
Yeah, so he's had to wait for testing, and here we are.
But to piggyback on Sue Foster, if there's a veteran who has questions, I am at the senior center on Wednesdays by appointment with Sue, so they can actually call the senior center and say, "Hey, I need to talk to Randy," and I can meet them there on Wednesdays.
Oh, nice.
The senior center has actually given me a spot where I can actually meet with somebody.
Fantastic. Now, are you finding it harder with COVID to help finding transitional homes and jobs for veterans, or because you guys have grants and stuff that are all kind of locked in? That
I'll be totally honest with you, Tommy. The jobs we're getting job postings daily,
really,
for positions to line up. Our veterans with
That's
employment.
great.
Yeah.
So if you're a veteran out there and you're homeless or you need a job, you need to be contacting ClearPath, contact Jason, contact Randy, because they've got positions open, and that's a great thing for. I didn't think of on the other end with COVID, there's jobs available because everybody's on unemployment and doesn't want to work, which infuriates me. Yeah. But which brings me to something else. Can we just go off topic for a little bit? Can we pull up that picture?
No, you're on my time.
So, all right. So, speaking of jobs, we hired finally after 4 years. We hired a new sales girl. Is she not cute? Look at that face, right? She's going to sell a lot of ads. I'm going to send it to all the muffler shops and all the electronic stores in Lawrence, and she's going to make $1 million for the Valley Patriot. So this is Chelsea. Chelsea's my new sales girl.
Hi, Chelsea.
She's going to, if we can hire 2 more people, she's going to be the sales manager, and the 2 new salespeople that I hire under her are going to work for her, and she's going to manage them.
You can't work for her. You can't work for her.
I can't work for her? No, she works for me.
No, I know, but you'd probably want to work for her. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, there's another whole thing going on, but we won't talk about that. Listen, everybody knows Tom Duggan. They know if I'm hiring Chelsea, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you want to advertise, if you want to sponsor this program, if you want to advertise in the Valley Patriot, the phone is ringing. Like I have businesses are now calling again after the whole COVID shutdown. And our advertising is expanding. So we're going to be expanding the paper, which means more pages, which means more content, which means more for you, the reader. So if you have a business, we could certainly use your business, and you'd like to advertise or sponsor the Valley Patriot or this program, give me a call. I'll send Chelsea over to talk to you. Pull that picture up again. Like, wouldn't you want a girl that looked this good walking into your shop to talk to you about advertising? I would buy whatever she was selling. Like, I don't care if she's selling women's shoes. I don't wear women's shoes, but I'd be buying them because I would want her to come back, right?
But on the flip side,
size 10 pumps over there.
Yeah, right.
On the flip side of that, if you're a Methuen or a Merrimack Valley business and you have openings, let Tommy know and let what the job description is, and we may be able to fit that to a veteran.
100%. Oh, absolutely. If someone calls me and says they've got a job opening, and they're interested in hiring a veteran, I will immediately get that to Randy and Jason, and we'll get you a veteran to work for you. So maybe, I know somebody was just telling me they were looking for help just in the last day or two. AFC Urgent Care is looking for help.
Yeah, they're looking for medical, and I'm out looking.
Right.
There's nurses out there. There's people out there looking to be in the medical field. I mean, they don't lay off, right?
Yeah, no, they don't lay off. With COVID, they're going to be hiring.
But yeah.
And they'll train, too. Like, if they hire somebody who doesn't have the exact skill, Lisa will pay to train them, especially if they're a veteran. She loves the veterans, and she's always helping out on the side. So that's great. If you know someone who's a veteran who's looking for work, please let us know. Please email me, email Randy, email Jason, and we will take care of them.
Or if you're a business.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
And if you're interested in advertising in the Valley Patriot, please give us a call. We'll send Chelsea to come see you.
And if you're a veteran-owned business, he'll give you a discount.
Yeah, I do give discounts to veterans.
I'm just trying to pimp you out.
But no, but that's actually true. Yeah. Like, you thought you were joking, but I actually do. If you're a veteran-owned business, we do give you a discount. And if you stay with us for 6 months or more, we give you an even bigger discount. So ClearPath New England is in Devens.
ClearPath for Veterans.
I'm sorry, ClearPath for Veterans New England is in Devens. You've got the drop-off spot in Methuen. Where else are you guys?
We're really all over the north central area right now. Fitchburg, Leominster. We're assisting the VSOs in all those communities. Across New England, we have case management clients that we work in Vermont, New Hampshire. We have a contract through neuro rehab management to provide case management to those that have TBIs or PTSD issues.
You may want to just touch on that for what exactly that is.
Well, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, Randy.
And that program is funded through the Independence Program from the Wounded Warrior Project. So they fund NRM. We provide the case management for those veterans. That could be, case management could be just working with them on taking them out to a recreational activity, going bowling with them, providing those peer services, workshops. We have flag workshops every single month that these veterans can go to and build a beautiful flag through Old Glory Millworks in, I want to say I don't want to say the town because I don't know actually, but Lance Perkins, he's amazing, and he walks you through the steps of building a flag. That's just, that's one of those free services that are provided to our veterans, to help with their time.
Have you found it getting easier or harder to help veterans in need through the last year of COVID, almost a year of COVID? It seems like I used to get complaints from people who provided the services you guys do that it's so hard to get the veteran who needs the services to admit they need the services and come to us. I know JT Torres was actually going to someone's house because he knew of a guy, and the guy didn't want to ask for it, so he was going to the guy's house just to help the guy. So I guess my question is, with COVID, has that changed or has it gotten worse?
I really haven't seen that it's changed too much. Our veterans, we're all pride. We have a lot of pride, and we tend to not ask for those services, even though we need them. But when we do, we really need them desperately.
Right.
So working with a veteran, and all you have to do is really show them empathy, understand their situation. Try not to tell them no. Try and give them a solution to their issue, instead of
because their issue may be fueled by something else that they don't realize.
Correct.
And that's that's why the conversation happens over a cup of coffee or or a sandwich or something. Just talking to them, find out what the issue is, and that's what makes the relationship.
Yeah, building camaraderie with your brother or sister. You're getting them comfortable enough to open up to you about their issues, and all that. Some of that takes time. Some of that takes days. Some of that takes weeks. But if you're coming at them, in a suit and tie, and that's probably not the way to go, because they're looking at you as more of an authoritative figure and not on their same level. So having that empathy, having that that similar look makes them feel more comfortable.
We have a question from the audience. Sarah asks, can we adopt a veteran food-wise, like a buddy system, someone near us that they can adopt and bring food to, like, periodically? Like, is there like adopt a veteran type program that you guys have?
Never heard of it, but this could be something that could be implemented.
I'll run it for you if you want. They can, rather than having your phone ringing off the hook, just have them call me.
Because you're going to see, touching on what Jason said, it's hard. Veterans are very prideful, but I think if you have a veteran who has a family, he's going to come out and ask for assistance, not to help him, but to help his family.
Right. That was my next question, was the families. I know that when John was running Veterans Northeast Outreach, he went above and beyond for everybody, but if someone had a wife and kids, and I remember there was one story Randy was telling me about a guy that was sleeping in his car with his wife and kids.
Correct.
And he had a problem with his paperwork, and they weren't sure how they were going to be. And John never said no to this guy. Like, found a way to get this guy into housing, got him a job, helped him out with his medical paperwork and everything. You guys obviously, I'm sure, are helping veterans' families. Can you talk about the veterans' families?
Sure. Veterans' families are part of the whole unit, and if they're not taken care of, the veteran's not going to be taken care of if they're part of the household. So when you're working with a veteran family, you just want to make sure that you're touching everything that could be involved in, subsidies, making sure their income as a whole unit is up to speed, not just the individual, but the whole family, because that will affect the subsidy, things of that nature. Taking care of the family, I mean, they sacrifice just as much as, well, I can't say just as much as the veteran, but sacrifice
almost as much. Yeah, sure.
They sacrifice a lot.
It's to, again, piggyback on what Jason said, maybe the veteran can't work, but it doesn't mean we can't help the spouse get a job.
Right.
Maybe she has a skill set that could be used.
So you're in for the whole family, not just the vet,
Exactly.
right? You're in for the whole family. Yep. And so if a veteran's son or a veteran's wife, if he can't work, you guys will help him.
Correct. Absolutely.
You'll help him out.
As long as the veteran's part of the household.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And that can be determined.
All right. So I want to thank we got about 15 minutes left. I just want to take I get told I don't pump our sponsors enough. So I want to pump our sponsors a little bit. McLennan Real Estate. I love Janet McLennan. I'm going to marry her someday.
You have about 9 wives. You have Jana, and...
Hey, we don't mess with the Janas.
Jana and Jana, I'm sorry.
Jana and Jana.
I'm sorry. The list keeps growing.
It does grow.
So I think you need to move to Utah or someplace where you can do that.
But I'm single. So, I mean, people can't really be outraged by my personal life.
There's a reason why you're single.
If I was married, people wanted to be outraged by that. That's fine, but I'm not. But we love Janet McLennan. We love Matt and Sam and all those guys over at McLennan Real Estate. AFC Urgent Care. If you want to get a COVID test, you go online to the AFC Urgent Care website. You sign up. You register.
Lisa's amazing.
You drive up with your car. You don't have to get out of your car. They'll test you right in your car. And usually within 48 hours, you'll get a result of the test, positive or negative. Marsan and Son Construction. Before it starts getting cold, you need to get a new porch, a new roof. Give them a call. If you've got inside renovations that need to be done, Marsan and Son Construction. We love Ronnie Marsan, and we're hoping he's going to run for city council. EIS investigation services and also gun training. Borelli's Deli. Go into Borelli's Deli when you get your meats, when you get your lunch, and tell them that you appreciate them sponsoring this program, because I know for sure Don Smiriglio is getting a lot of crap for supporting the show.
Yeah, when you have rice balls like he has, you can't compete.
That's true. Like, where else are you going to go, right?
Right.
You're only hurting yourself if you're boycotting Borelli's.
You are.
For sure. JG's Ice Cream. We love the Jafrida Brothers, although I don't think we've had a poker game in a couple of months. We should probably try and work that out. Maybe we'll do it here. Could we do a poker game here? Would you guys be okay with that, Ben? If we wanted to schedule a poker game?
I would be okay with it. Unfortunately, I'm not high enough on the food chain to make that
Well,
decision.
we just don't tell Dave. That's how things work around here. We just do it. We just do it and don't tell Dave. All right. And Andover Optical, we certainly appreciate Andover Optical, and a free plug for North Andover Car Wash, Dawn Sign Tech, and 4-Star Lighting and Equipment. And you know who else I've been forgetting is Climate Designs. It's a free plug for Climate Designs. There, hopefully they'll be back after the beginning.
I didn't hear you mention ClearPath.
I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. And ClearPath, I thought we did.
No.
Let's see. McLennan, AFC, Marsan, EIS, Borelli. Yep, ClearPath. You're right. And I skipped right to JG's and Andover Optical. We love ClearPath. That's why they're here today. Is it difficult to explain to non-veterans what it is that you guys do? Is it difficult for non-veterans to understand what the needs are of a veteran?
I think there's 3 real things that a veteran needs. They need their health, they need housing, and they need employment. That's kind of the basics, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if it would be that difficult to explain to someone that's not a vet.
Because I always find, as a non-vet, I'm always trying to explain this stuff to other people who are also non-vets, and I always have a difficult time trying to get them to understand. People who don't understand what veterans go through and why they need the services that they need, and so I always just default to, because our government sucks. That men and women sign up, put their lives on the line for the safety and security of this country, and when they get out of the service, they get treated like shit by our government. And while there are some services available, for the most part, there are still homeless veterans. Like we find them in Lawrence.
Correct.
We found, I think, 4 already in Lawrence. And it's just disgusting to me that you have someone out there who is a homeless veteran, but it's also harder to explain to people why that's more horrible than any other homeless person. You know, there's a lot of people out there who say, well, why should they get anything special because they're a veteran? They served, they got paid, and they're out. And so it always seems harder for me, because I'm in a much more liberal environment than you guys are too, so maybe you don't have what I have. But it always seems very difficult to explain to them, no, these people went off and served their country, and they deserve this. They're not entitled, but they should be entitled to all of these services. There should be no such thing as a homeless veteran in this country.
We provide to the general public, correct?
Yep.
We provide all those services to the general public. Why
Mhm.
shouldn't our heroes get the same thing?
Absolutely.
And if you're using money to give to a veteran, it's freeing up money that other agencies can use for somebody else.
Right.
You know, and that's what I try to explain to like housing authorities. When you have a housing authority, we want to pull veterans out of there, get them into veteran housing. What does that do? That opens up a slot for a non-veteran to move into housing.
Right.
Correct.
And that's what needs to be done. And that's a big issue.
Are you getting a lot of cooperation from the local communities? I know Methuen-'s been very big.
Methuen has been huge.
Because Neil Perry's like the best when it comes to veterans. But I'm sure there were probably other communities out there that maybe not as good, right?
So that's one of the reasons why we did the community-based needs assessment, to find out what those communities' needs are. And we have a couple communities already lined up for that next phase.
Mm-hmm.
We're working with Methuen Cares to finalize, their needs assessment. And then we're going to move on to the next phase of our plan.
So let me explain something about that needs assessment. You know, there's been a lot of things posted online that it's a joke, it's this. Well, what is it? It doesn't mean anything. It's a liberal. It's not a liberal. The needs assessment was created between ClearPath and Methuen. Questions that were given to the city of Methuen of veteran needs. So those questions were given. So they wanted to see what other veterans thought, and some of the questions were just basic. Do you know there's a veteran service officer? Have you ever visited the veteran service officer?
Has he ever gotten back to you? I get a lot of complaints in my office from people calling VSOs and them not getting back to them. Not Methuen, but I'm saying in general.
And and it's like VFWs. Do you know there's a VFW? Did you join the VFW, or did you join the American Legion? If yes, why not? And then there's comments, and that's all it is. And some people say, well, what's your income? Why they ask me what is my income? Well, the income is going to decide whether you qualify for specific
Specific benefits.
Yeah, that work. So, unfortunately, that's just the way the whole world runs. If you make too much money, or if you have too much in assets, you're not going to get the benefit. But it doesn't mean that ClearPath can't find another way to help you.
Right.
So that's really what it is.
So the needs assessment is a survey that local veterans fill out to let the town know and ClearPath know what it is that they need.
But it also helps the veteran service officer to know, okay, I may be slacking over here because I'm seeing this on the assessment. So let me work on that a little bit.
Right.
And it is a benefit.
Yeah. So in those assessments or surveys, it's not like we're going to be able to provide every single aspect of what the needs are. So we're going to work with our other nonprofits in that community. If it's our friends in Haverhill or Boston or the other veteran nonprofits, we're going to work with them to make proper referrals for housing, make proper referrals if they're in the North Shore. Maybe they have a job program that they have that we could utilize for our vet.
Right.
We're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're not trying to take over anything. We're just trying to serve those veterans within the community that reach out for help.
So we were going to have the girl with the puppy here today. She couldn't make it.
I feel slighted.
Well, no, I'm asking because the Canine Program is amazing. And I have a friend, Donnie Jarvis. I don't know if you know him. He's got Mocha. And prior to him getting Mocha, he was a very different person. And now that he's got Mocha, he's a very different person in a positive way. And so I was really excited to have her here because I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about the Canine Program. I know we talked about it on the last time you were here, but I think it bears repeating because the Canine Program really does help veterans who are by themselves.
Correct. So our Service Dog Canine Program, there's multiple levels to this. There's a program that will provide a service dog to a veteran free of charge. And then there's also obedience training for those that already have pups that may need that assistance.
And not necessarily a service dog.
Not necessarily a service dog.
See.
So those dogs could be trained emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
A therapeutic servicing or therapeutic dog, or however they term it today. But you could bring a dog there for obedience training and go through the phases, get them AGC certified, which is through the American Kennel Club, and then in line for that final ADI certification, which is recognized by the VA. the only certification that's recognized by the VA for.
And this is all free for veterans.
All free for vets.
So if they have a dog, they can bring it to you for training to help.
Correct.
If they're looking for a service dog, they can go to you for. What if someone has a dog they want to donate? What if someone has a dog that they say maybe this puppy would be great for a veteran, and maybe it's not working out so much for us? Can they just donate a dog to you, or how does that work?
I guess it would have to be a case by case basis. I mean, some dogs can have bad habits, and there are some animals that we may not take into our program because of that.
Right.
Not every service dog that goes into training will actually make the grade. He may not. Doesn't mean it's a bad dog.
He may not graduate.
Correct.
May not graduate.
Right.
Or repetition through the obedience program. So they may need multiple times through to have that dog trained properly.
Because these dogs just don't wear an orange vest that say veteran service dog and walk around. I mean, I know someone, a veteran, his dog wakes him up in the middle of the night if he has a nightmare. My son. Yep. It wakes him up. Or picks up his keys for him because he can't use one of his hands. Or can turn a stove off.
Really?
If they smell gas.
Wow.
Turn on lights.
Wow.
Open doors.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've seen service dogs, if you get too close to somebody in a line at a store, the service dog will actually get behind his owner and block it to keep that person at distance. So there is a lot of training that goes on, but the program that ClearPath offers will also help a veteran be able to work with his dog too, because you got to be able to work with the dog. It's a partnership.
So any veteran can bring a dog that has been trained elsewhere to ClearPath for an eval and certification, but there is a charge to that piece.
Okay.
Actual training, anything like that, our training through ClearPath for any veteran to receive a dog, free of charge.
Fantastic. Now, one of the things I haven't talked about is female veterans. I would imagine that female veterans have a little bit more unique needs than male veterans. Am I wrong about that?
We as vets all have some issues, and some are the same. But with the female population, that is a little different, only because of this. A lot of the services are directed towards men and not so much towards females. Working with a female veteran last week, there was some issues of MST. They put her in a all men's
MST?
Military sexual trauma.
Okay.
They put her in a all men's group. That's probably not appropriate,
right?
And that was something done by the VA.
Right.
So a lot of those programs, they may be developed, but they may not be in this area. I know Western Mass has a lot of female veteran programs. Soldier On, great organization as well, that has housing for veterans and also services for female veterans out there that work strictly with female vets.
Do you guys work with other organizations? Like I know John McDonald asked me to be on the board of Veterans Assisting Veterans as an honorary member because I'm not a veteran, and I know that they do some great work. Do you work with those kind of organizations too?
John is a great guy. He will go out of his way to help a veteran. Yes, we have worked with John McDonald. We've worked with other these smaller agencies or smaller nonprofits that come out. Yeah, everyone has a niche. Everyone has something to bring to the table.
We are willing to work with any agency that has the same mission as us as serving veterans.
So if you're a veteran, or you have a veteran in your family, or you know a veteran that needs some kind of help, it could be something small, like they're having a hard time making their mortgage payment, or they're behind on their electric bills, or they need food because of COVID, or they maybe they're alone and they're lonely and they need a service dog. Please contact ClearPath for Veterans New England. If you don't know how to do that, contact me and I'll put you in contact with Jason or with Randy or anybody else over at ClearPath. And if you have a job opening for a veteran, if you have a job opening and you'd like to hire a veteran, please let us know. Please let them know because they've got like a whole bank of veterans names that are looking for work, and we can maybe help them out a little bit.
So I know we're running out of time, but I had a call from a Methuen resident who had a friend in Dracut who owned a business that built floor sanders. That morning, while handing out food, he was telling me he's been out of work for over a year. He was a mechanical assembler. It was a phone call. Now he's been working there almost 5 months, and it's the greatest job he's had.
Well, that's great.
And also our nonprofit provides training programs. We're working with Rhymes Propane.
Okay.
And they have a CDL training program, CDLA, CDLB, where we're going to be working with them to get some of our veterans trained up for a CDL license.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Jason Gilbert, Randy Carter from Clear Path for Veterans, New England. I actually got it right. It only took me 6 weeks.
Thanks, Tom.
But I finally did get it right. I was calling it Clear Path New England for Veterans.
I'm only a volunteer.
Well, we got to change that, though. We got to get the guy a job. Because you know how much trouble this guy makes when he's not working?
Oh, I know.
Like, I know he volunteers and he puts a lot of time in, but you should see the trouble this guy gets in. If people think I get in trouble, I'm usually bailing him out. If you know a veteran... Sorry, a little too much disclosure there. If you know a veteran who could use some help, if you're a veteran that could use some help, don't be shy about it. Don't be embarrassed about it. If you've served your country, or someone in your family or your friends have served their country, they deserve these benefits. Give Clear Path New England a call or an email. Find them online. If you can't do that, call me. Instant message me on Facebook. Obviously, you're watching this on either Facebook or YouTube. Or you're listening on, like everything, right? Spotify, Spreaker,
Apple
Podbean.
Podcast, Spotify.
Oh, not Apple Podcast, by the way. I got a couple of complaints this week that Apple Podcast is behind like 3 months or 4 months, that they can't find the new shows on Apple Podcast. And that's why I'm glad you brought that up.
We will get that corrected.
But we are on Spreaker and Podbean and all the audio podcast platforms.
Google Podcasts.
So find me on Facebook, Tom Duggan, or the Valley Patriot newspaper, or find Clear Path for Veterans New England online, and let them know that you know a veteran, that you have a veteran that could use some help.
So this week with the holiday, we will not be there on Thursday. We'll be there on Wednesday.
Correct.
But after that, it'll be Thursdays.
Back to Thursdays.
All right. Okay, fair enough.
And also, they can reach us info@clearpathne.org, or they can call us at 978-384-8800.
All right, and I want to thank our sponsors once again. You can roll that up there, Ben. We're actually going to finish almost on time today. JG's Ice Cream. Love JG's Ice Cream. Maybe we'll go there after the show. We'll make Randy pay, though. Andover Optical, if you need glasses, you need eye exam. I just bought new glasses, but I think I'm going to go get a second pair at Andover Optical just to thank them for sponsoring the show and advertising the Valley Patriot. AFC Urgent Care, go get your COVID tests. Sign up online. You have to sign up online. But it is free, and you can drive to AFC Urgent Care in Methuen on Merrimack Street, and they will take care of you. Borelli's Deli, go in and thank Don Smeriglio. We love him. He does a lot for the community. Clear Path New England, Clear Path for Veterans New England. Who else did I miss out? McLennan Real Estate, Marsan and Sun Construction, 4-Star Lighting and Electric. Wow, that list is getting longer.
Oh, I almost forgot, too. You have Christina Traficanti said to say hello.
Oh, Christina.
Yeah. I was supposed to give you a kiss, but I ain't doing that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I'm not.
She's free to kiss me. You are not free to kiss
Understood.
me.
And I agree, 100%.
All right. Well, Melvin Taylor says go home. We're going to take the week off next week. Melvin Taylor says we got to go home. So go home already.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.